Hello, everybody. What is up? How is everyone doing? Welcome back to another Bachelor in Paradise Live. We have so much to talk about after last night's insane episode because Mari confessed her love for Kenny. Kendall admitted that she wants grocery store Joe back. And of course, Brendan and Piper get busted for only being on the beach for Instagram followers. I mean, what a crazy episode. As always, I am your host, Zachary Reality, joined today by Fiona Zaring and Gabby Gonta. We have so much to get into. I think we all are just so shook from last night's episode. I mean, what was your initial thoughts on last night's episode, Fiona?
Oh my goodness. I feel like my jaw was just dropped the entire time. I have not stared so intently at a television screen like that in years. Like, that was the craziest episode ever. I think I was just blown away. I don't know how else to put it.
That's a really good way in putting it. Gabby, what about you?
Yeah, 100%. Me too. It just kept going. Like it was one, crazy moment, and then you're like, okay, like I'm still recovering from that. And then it just kept piling on and on and on throughout the entire episode. So crazy, crazy episode last night.
There was just like so much intensity, and a lot of the cast wasn't even shown on last night's episode because like everything was obviously about the Brendan, Piper, Natasha love triangle. And glued to the TV is the right word because like I was watching just like a normal person on the couch, and I swear to God, it's like every minute kept going by, or every 10 minutes, I would just move closer and closer to the couch, and I was glued to the TV screen. I mean, Gabby, was this the best episode you think so far of the season?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think you made a good point by saying we didn't even there was so many other like couples and other contestants
Uh-huh.
on the beach, but we didn't even see any of that last night because it was all about these three, and for a good reason, because everything just started to unravel. Brendan and Natasha and the Piper thing, like they were saying, we've been talking about it since day one before Piper even showed up. So
Uh-huh.
of course, once she shows up, everything's going to start to go downhill a little bit.
Oh, it's all going down, and we're going to get all into it. But before we do that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe and ring the bell, put your notifications on, give this video a big thumbs up. We are talking Bachelor in Paradise all season long, and we need to first break down everything that went down between Kendall, Joe, and Serena. So Kendall arrives on the beach. She passes right through all of the guys, goes right up to Joe. We know this. She calls him Butthead. She was talking a lot of game in her pre-interview, which was kind of weird because she was really making it seem like they were still in communication and that she was basically not over him completely. There was still hope for reconciliation, which is just not what we would have thought after watching Joe and Serena form this connection. I mean, Fiona, do you see the comparisons almost between the Natasha Brendan thing with the Kendall Joe thing?
I feel like I just thought that this was going to be so much bigger of a deal than it was. Like, I thought it was going to be so explosive, like the Natasha Brendan thing, and it really
Yeah.
wasn't. It just kind of felt like two people who have now been thrown in an incredibly awkward scenario, and neither person has changed their stance on anything since they last talked, right? Kind of felt like Kendall was, I don't want to like accuse her of lying, right? I don't think she was being a Brendan, but she was filling in some blanks and connecting some dots, maybe to create some hope where I don't really think there was any. And I do think she tried to come on the beach and sort of paint a picture of how their relationship ended that was a little polished over. And in a very respectful way, Joe was just like, no, that's not what happened. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? So by the end of that conversation, I was like, you know what? This is two people who clearly had a lot of love for each other, on some level still care about the other person, but it's over. It's done. Let's move on.
It seems over, but I just felt like Kendall coming on the beach, she didn't realize it was over. And then Joe kind of had to explain to her, yeah, we broke up, we talked a little bit, you didn't want this, you didn't want that. I mean, what was your reaction, Gabby, when Kendall walked right past the other guys and went up to Joe? Don't you think that was a little, dare I say, like territorial?
Oh my gosh, that's the perfect word for that. And then when she like comes right out the bat, first thing she says is calling him obviously the nickname that she had for him.
Butthead.
It's like, yikes, she's obviously still in that headspace to just like feel like they can pick right back up where they're left off. And I'm sure the producers maybe like helped her think that way, or like they even said themselves, paradise is where they met and fell in love. So as soon as you're down there, it's like, all those thoughts start to come up again, which was the same thing that happened with Joe. He's just sort of like got over that hump already.
Yeah. And, Kendall did not show up with a date card. Like, she came in here, she knew the assignment, she had to talk right to Joe, and that's exactly what she did. It was kind of weird that she didn't have a date card. Would she have taken Joe? Would she have taken someone else? Who knows? But Joe and Kendall finally have their serious conversation that seemed overdue, considering how much closure Kendall was asking for. So Kendall expressed she wanted the closure, but was also open to rekindling. The biggest takeaway from this conversation is when Joe called Kendall out for never wanting to move to Chicago or even give it a try. Joe felt like at that point in the relationship, he was more than just a guy, and Kendall didn't treat him like that. So Joe kind of said, Kendall didn't want to move anywhere for a guy. And at that point, they were together for 2 years. Joe was living in Los Angeles for a couple years, and Kendall wouldn't even move to Chicago for a couple weeks to test it out. And Joe also made it clear, and Kendall made it clear that Joe didn't want to leave Chicago. He wants to stay in Chicago. So, what did you take away from this conversation, Fiona? Do you feel like they got closure? Is it still open? Are you moving to Chicago?
No, what's so interesting is I feel like I have literally had these conversations with girlfriends, right? Like a guy is moving for a job or you need to move for a job and you are with that person. It's kind of like you have to understand the give and take, because if one person, right, is expected to uproot their life, make their sacrifices all for the good of the relationship, you don't have to keep score, but at a certain point you would feel let down if your partner isn't willing to make that same sacrifice for you, or at least try. It's like, if you want me to put our relationship first, move to LA, be where you want to be, give it a shot for us, then when I ask for the literal same thing in return, if you can't give me that, of course the relationship is going to hit some bumps that are too hard to overcome, because it just feels so imbalanced. And that doesn't mean that what she wants is wrong or what she wants is wrong. It just means that they can't be together, which I feel like is the conclusion they came to. So why are we here again? It was just sad.
Yeah, it was really sad because relationships do have compromise. You have to meet someone halfway and in the middle. And it really just felt like Joe got tired of doing all of this for Kendall when she wasn't reciprocating. That's what I kind of took away from it. Gabby, what did you take away from the conversation?
Yeah, first of all, Fiona dropping all the relationship knowledge and advice.
Yes,
Love that.
Fiona.
I totally agree with you. I think that Kendall does, still have some feelings and some love for Joe, though, because she did seem very nervous, could barely kind of get out what she was feeling. And you could kind of see on her face, it kind of dropped when she realized, she lit up a little bit, I should say, when he was talking about, oh, I kind of wanted to leave, but now I don't. And then her face kind of dropped again. And then he started talking about Serena. And then she kind of realized, okay, maybe we're not on the same page anymore. And then they started, arguing a little bit about obviously the same things they've been arguing about for a little while. So, of course, it just seems like this is some conversation and a part of the relationship that just happened to be on camera for Paradise in this episode. Yeah. And I think it was like a very produced thing. Probably producers were probably like, okay, we're going to get Joe down here. Wouldn't it be amazing if his ex Kendall showed up? And then they kind of orchestrated that. Of course, they played the flashbacks of them falling in love the first time on Paradise. It was kind of just like a perfect segment that didn't really end up being anything exciting, like you were saying.
Well, then who do you think Kendall would have asked on the date, Gabby, if she got a date card?
Oh, jeez.
That is a good question. I think she would have had to, pull a few people. But
would she though? I think she would have asked Joe. I think she would have went right up to Joe, because that's exactly what she did. And the producers are probably like, there's not worth it giving her a date card. Fiona, do you think that too?
Well, I just feel like she wouldn't have been able to ask Joe on a date without having that conversation with him. The date would have just been that conversation. Does that make sense? Yeah. And Joe may not have been willing to say yes to a date with an ex in order to initiate that conversation. You know what I mean? It just felt like this was going to be the roadblock. So I think it makes sense that they didn't waste a card, waste all of the production efforts of putting a date together. All they needed was that day bed and a chance to chat. So I don't know what she would have done differently, but I think it would have resulted in that conversation no matter what.
Yeah, I don't think they would have gave them a big budget for a date, like probably not the wrestling date, but maybe like a Kenny Tia budget where you just get naked and play volleyball. But I think that's a good point because there was no point of them going on a date when they would have had to have that conversation before they left anyway. So yeah, I just think Kendall needs to move on because it just seems like they're on two completely different pages. And after Kendall and Joe had a chance to speak, Joe obviously wanted to pull Serena aside to tell her everything that happened. Joe told Serena Kendall and him are on different pages. Kendall wants it back. Joe made it clear his top focus is Serena, but the door isn't completely shut with Kendall. Serena, I think, handled it pretty well. And the only thing she was asking for was honesty moving forward. And Joe also told Serena, like, if you want to go on dates with other people, you are allowed to. I don't want to hold you back, but my number one priority is you. And then Serena said that as well. My number one priority is you. It seems like they're pretty mature out of the most uncomfortable situation possible. So, I mean, Gabby, do we think that Kendall is going to affect Joe and Serena's relationship?
That is a really good question. I mean, I feel for Serena. I think they both handled it very maturely, but I feel for her because nobody wants to hear that, that door might not be closed. I'm sure she wanted him to say, we talked about it, it's not going to work, and I'm 100% here for you still. So the fact that he was saying, there might be something, I'm sure she's like, ugh, really? And then,
Literally.
even in her confessionals, she was like crying and was saying, now I just feel a lot more vulnerable to being hurt. So not necessarily that Joe's, his intentions are bad or he's like planning to hurt her or like caught in this triangle now, but like she just feels like there could be, it's just like more up in the air. She's not as secure as she was before.
I mean, I just think Serena needs to be like booking her one-way ticket to Chicago right now because if she does not agree to move to Chicago, like she is wasting her time in this relationship considering that was the main deal breaker in Kendall and Joe's split. Fiona, where do you think Serena and Joe can go from here? And also, do you think Serena, it's worth it for her to have a private one-on-one conversation with Kendall? Because I would like the two of them to talk.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I feel like Joe managed to still feel so genuine, so charming, conveying information that was really difficult to convey, right? Like he was able to reassure Serena without disrespecting Kendall. And I think that that puts him in a good light. Like if I was in Serena's shoes, I would want a guy that seemed mature, able to communicate his feelings, able to really like not shy away from how difficult that conversation was. And he really like met the challenge. So I do think that if they continue, the two of them, right? We've seen these incredibly mature moments. If they can continue with that path, with that level of flawless, in my opinion, communication, they might really have a shot regardless of how awkward all of this sort of is. I 100% believe, and knowing Serena, I feel like it wouldn't be out of the cards that Serena and Kendall could both benefit from a conversation with each other. It honestly might help Kendall move on, right? Like Kendall feels like this person that she loved, that fit into her world, that left it, she misses him and she wants him back in it. Sometimes it helps to see that like there is somebody else out there that might be able to be a better fit for this person that you care about. If you truly love someone, right, you want them to be happy. So it really might be a win-win for everyone.
That's a really good point. That might be the closure that Kendall really needs, is to see that Joe is happier with somebody else. I also just don't think Kendall's going to stay on the beach very long, considering we know from the preview that there's going to be more girls coming in. And like, who wants to date Kendall now after she has all of this baggage with Joe? And Joe has been like on the beach making friends with all the guys for so long. So I really feel like Kendall is just like out, a losing odds. The best thing she can do is probably talk to Serena and, leave paradise, hopefully knowing that it's just never going to work out with Joe. So, we'll have to see how this all plays out. But I do want to remind everyone to leave your comments down below, leave your questions. We are going to be doing a live Q&A and reacting to some tweets and memes at the end of today's live. So definitely tweet us at Shared News and leave us your questions. I mean, Gabby, how is it running the Shared News Twitter? I feel like you're doing a really good job at it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah,
Thanks.
shout
I
out,
get to
Gabby.
live tweet all of the episodes. So much fun. I think we've really been like cultivating a little, Bachelor community over at Shared News, and it's fun to poke fun at them while we're watching, right?
Absolutely. And you're You're so good at hiding behind the keyboard and throwing the shade, Gabby. So everyone definitely follow us on Twitter at Shared News. But we do have to get into another love triangle, or love square to be exact. We have Mari, Demi, Tia, and Kenny, a full-on love square. So Kenny got back from his date with Tia. Mari immediately pulls Kenny aside to chat. Mari confesses that she still has feelings for him and that seeing him with other people triggered her and made her realize that she just wants to be with Kenny. She apologized to him about how she handled the situation. She threw the cake in the fire, and Kenny was pretty receptive, but he kind of left things off where he needs to sleep on it and they could talk the next night to think. So Fiona, how do we think Mari handled this? Do we think she was being super honest? Was she too forward? Is it too little too late? What's your pulse on this?
Honestly, I feel like everything that has happened with Kenny and Mari after that initial conversation has stemmed from a really this is the example of poor communication, right? A really poorly communicated moment. And I don't think Mari has felt good about that conversation literally since the moment they stood up. And I have to say, I commended her for putting it all behind her, all of the immature moments, the cake, the honestly probably very high levels of insecurity between Demi and Tia, and just going up to him and saying, I'm going to say everything. And you do with it what you will. But she, at least now, no matter what happens next, doesn't have to wonder any what ifs, right? She went, she laid it on the line. She told him what he does from here is obviously his decision. But he seemed very receptive. And at least they walked away from this conversation seeming more on the same page. So I was happy for her, at least that she did it. You know, she gave it a shot.
Do you want to see them get back together, Gabby? Do you feel like there's still hope?
Yeah, I think out of the entire square of people involved here, I think Mari and Kenny seem like the best couple for each other in the long term, if their goals really are to have a strong relationship and get engaged, because they kind of have that foundation. They were together for a while. Things got shaken up a little bit, but of course you're in paradise. You know, it's good to explore your options and things like that. I think in this conversation, I'm hoping that, you know, Kenny sleeps on it and decides that Mari's the right one to keep pursuing. Of course, like, this is a little embarrassing for her, because literally at that first conversation, Kenny was saying, I think you're going to regret this, you know, very soon, saying all this. And then here she is now literally saying that's exactly what happened. But since she kind of just was very honest and open and let him know, hey, like, you were right, I'm sorry, I think that's going to do a lot of good for them.
Yeah, I think she handled it pretty maturely. Like, she went right up to him when he got back from the date. Like, she didn't want to play games. She didn't want to gossip or say anything. She just wanted to say how she felt. And I think it's going to be up to Kenny whether he wants to give her a second chance or not. Because not only did she kind of, like, start all of this, like, she made it a square. Like, it was totally by her. She also acted ridiculous, and it was kind of disrespectful and inappropriate of her to throw his cake in the fire, both like in a joking manner and figuratively. Like, you ruined his birthday. You handled it kind of immaturely. Like, I was team Demi a lot in that situation, and I just felt like the poor cake, like, justice for Riley. Like, she owes everyone a new cake. So I hope that Kenny gives her another chance, because I do feel like she is remorseful. I feel like she knows what she did mess up on. She took accountability, and if, you know, Kenny really likes her, I'm sure that they will get back on the same track. And it's probably better that Kenny sleeps in his own room to figure that out versus the boom boom room with Demi, which is going to get to my next point, because Kenny obviously had to have a conversation with Demi as well. She's a part of the love square, and Demi was very frustrated about, you know, all of the attention Kenny was getting from the other women. Demi wants to hog up all of Kenny's time. She says she doesn't like to play games, which is obviously not the case if you're watching the show. The interesting part is that she asked Kenny to go to the boom boom room, as I mentioned, and he turns her down. And this is kind of tricky, because it's like, now I feel like she's using her sexuality almost to manipulate him. Because does she really like him and want to have that heart to heart? Like, at least with Mari, she really wanted to have that heart to heart. Demi just kind of wants to get it in and get it on. And I feel like that's her way of, like, pursuing a man. So that's just where I stand on this. Fiona, where do you stand on the Demi-Kenny saga?
So it was really sad. Like, Demi was in a state for a lot of this episode that really, like, bummed me out. I feel like she obviously it's so natural to feel insecure in a setting like Paradise, but she really, really was being hard on herself and then being kind of nasty about other situations. Like she was just this roller coaster. And I felt like I wish she had a friend there to be like, take a deep breath and like, we're going to get through this and let's talk it out. She just kept working herself up. And I do think that like at the end of the day, it's sort of hard because Demi and Ivan, like, I don't see that. Demi and Riley, I don't see that. Demi and Aaron, like, there's no one really else on the beach that even kind of works for her right now, at least personality-wise. So I feel like to her, she understands how this shows work. She knows at the end of the day, it's kind of a game. It's a chess match. You got to make all the right moves. And this Kenny thing, I don't think she thought it was going to be someone she really had to battle for. I think she thought, I'm going to take him to the boom boom room. I'm hot, he's hot, done. And now it's like, well, shoot, I didn't think I was going to have to work this hard for Kenny, and who am I going to find otherwise? So I don't know where I'm going with all of that, other than honestly, it made me sad to watch, and I'm hoping that they send a guy in that's more her speed that works, because I don't think this is going to work out for her in the end. Or girl, sure. I don't know. I just don't see them working out long term.
No, definitely not, because she's kind of immature about the situation. Like, it's not Kenny's fault that he's the most popular guy on the beach. Like, Kenny did not ask for this, and he's truly become the Bachelor. No one would have thought. The boy band manager. Gabby, where do you stand on the square? What corner of the square are you going to?
I totally agree with you, Fiona. Again, I think Mari's the best for him. I think Demi is just too mature, too young. And it of course depends on what they both want, right? If Kenny like wants an engagement, then probably messing around with Demi every night is not going to get you to like a solid relationship.
Yeah.
And same thing for Demi. So it kind of feels like she just wants to have fun too, which is like, okay. But at the end of the day, it's probably not going to end up with exactly what they want. So I was surprised to see that she kind of, I feel like she like lost all of like the tools in her toolbox to like try to win him back. Nothing was going her way. So then that was like her last
exactly.
Attempt. Yeah,
exactly. The boom boom room. So where do you think Kenny could stand with Tia? Do you think there's a connection there, or do we think that Tia is probably just better off going for someone else on the beach or back at home?
I don't know. That's tough. I mean, they are cute together. I feel like they're just a little bit different. Like Kenny was the one who literally walked into Paradise naked or almost naked, and that was like his like funny thing. And then their date was naked volleyball, and she was like very not for it. So I feel like they just kind of don't mesh 100%.
Yeah, but we'll see. There's going to be a lot of girls coming tonight, but I think it is time that we get into the Brendan and Piper debacle. Maybe a quick shout out to Noah and Abigail for getting more on the same page. I mean, Fiona, any thoughts on Noah and Abigail? Are we happy for them? Are they moving in the right direction?
Honestly, Noah and Abigail are sweet and a little bit boring, and I was happy that we got that minute from the two of them, and I hope that they continue to be happy, but all I needed was a minute. In this crazy episode, I was like, cool, did it, done. Congrats.
That's 60 seconds of them getting on the same page is all we needed, because Brendan, Piper, and Natasha ended up hogging up the rest of our TV screen, the whole last hour, and everything that has transpired on social media since last night's episode. We are going to get all into this. So Piper arrives with the date card, and usually when someone arrives with the date card, unless you're on this episode or wearing a red dress, Kendall and Piper, usually you want to talk to all the guys and feel things out. But no, Piper's like, Brendan. So she asked Brendan on the date. Brendan did seem a little shocked, but he accepted the date. He had a brief conversation with Natasha before he left, but proceeded to go on the date. So that's kind of how it all started. Gabby, what was your thoughts of Piper walking in? Do we think she should have maybe talked to a few other guys and not been so blatantly obvious?
No, I think she like knew what she was there for, and I feel like, she probably was talking with the producers. I mean, she came in at the exact perfect moment, right? So I feel like it was kind of them telling her, hey, like Brendan's here. He's ready for you. I know you guys are kind of a thing. People have been talking about you already so far. So like go in there. And even the date card itself, the little like slogan on it was like, choose someone you have a spark with, right? Or something like that. It's like, okay, well, they're telling her what to do, and so she's not going to waste any time. And I'm sure she was probably excited to see Brendan. We found out they hung out a lot, actually, not just a few times.
10 times.
she was probably excited.
Yeah, Fiona, what was your theory that you wanted to share on Piper coming in? How hyped up was she by the producers?
Oh my God, I totally agree with Gabby. I feel as though obviously producers make a call to Brendan and Piper, two people who are clearly in the early stages of relationship. The negotiations of getting them on the beach, right, was probably the assurance that they would both end up there, right? Clearly, they didn't get the timing logged exactly written out in their contracts, but like, there is no doubt in my mind that this was positioned to both of them as you're going to go on the beach and we want this budding relationship between the two of you to play out on our TV screens for America. Are you cool with that? Brendan then got to the beach and understood. Yes, I do. I think Brendan then got to the beach and felt like, well, shoot, I don't know when she's coming. And if I don't get a rose, I'm going to be sent home. She was so confident. And I think that's her saving grace throughout all of this is from the minute she got there. Her intentions were super clear, but this is something that doesn't typically seem very above board in Paradise. And she seemed to be of the very confident impression that it was totally okay that she was 100% there for one guy. That seemed to be like confusing to her, that it wasn't okay.
Yeah. I don't think it was laid out that crystal clear for them. I think the producers obviously manipulated Piper like, okay, you can date Brendan, but I don't think that they like had a secret plan. It wasn't like spotted out in like a 10-page document. Like it wasn't definitely that deep, but Piper definitely was under the impression that she was coming for Brendan and it wasn't an issue. So I wouldn't say it was Piper's fault that she couldn't read the room, but maybe some people disagree with that. So the date is when things get even more awkward. So Brendan and Piper obviously go on the date and things start off really weird because there's like this code that Brendan is using with Piper because obviously they're being filmed on camera and Piper is ready to break the fourth wall. She literally doesn't care. She's like, and this is kind of why I liked Piper's attitude a little bit because she was egging Brendan on to just tell her the truth. Like what's been going on? Like tell me everything. Like I need the real you. She quickly noticed that Brendan wasn't giving the real him. And Brendan uses the words like, I had to navigate my way to make sure that we were here on this specific moment. And then Piper kind of got the gist of things. And then she was like, oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for doing the heavy lifting since she came in so late. Oh my God. This date was so crazy. Gabby, what did you make of this one-on-one?
You explained it very well. I think Brendan was trying to, tell her that, basically give her the rundown about what's been going on because, I mean, I don't know what Pepper thought he was doing for the past like 2-3 weeks because I don't know if she knew, obviously she knew Paradise had already started. Yeah, but it's like, okay, so what do you think Brendan's doing for the past few weeks? Yeah, so he's trying to explain himself like, hey, I think it came off as I'm like, I've been seeing these other girls kind of, or all these other girls on the beach like me. And then that kind of like, made Piper pause and be like, wait, what? I thought we were like kind of dating. And then he's like, oh no, but like I'm doing it for you. And then they're like, oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Fiona, jump in here. What did you make of this?
Well, first of all, I mean, he was so sweaty during this entire thing. He literally looked like he was on trial for murder. And I think that says a lot. I really felt like I totally cued in to like what was going on when she, like her face dropped and she was like, I feel like you're downplaying what happened between, like there was a moment there when I think she thought, oh my God, I've been played. Like all of those 10 or however many times it was that we hung out, I went to Boston. Like that was all. He's trying to rewrite history. He played me. Now I'm about to get my heart broken in Paradise. And it was a fleeting moment because he got the lid on it quick, but you could tell that she really was blindsided by the fact that like this didn't all work out exactly as easily as she thought it was going to. I don't know if she thought like, first week in Paradise is a freebie. Second week in Paradise is like a friendship rose. Not like, I don't know what she thought, but it was such an emotion switch from, in one moment, she seemed as though she had potentially been betrayed and like she was about to be upset with him, to he gave her enough buzzwords that she went, oh, no, he's just been playing the game. And she was totally relaxed. Any girl that thinks that you're misrepresenting your relationship 1 minute is not that on board 2 minutes later, right? Like she really got the cue cards and figured it out. And it was all pretty much downhill from there, right? Because then they just had to face that they really played a game and now everyone is super aware of it.
Yeah. See, she messed up because she like exposed him basically. Like she didn't know what she was walking into. Obviously, Brendan had so much more information. He's been on the beach. She really came in so naive. And the fact that she was like, "Oh, now I see what you're doing." It's like, do they not realize what is going to be aired? Maybe they don't. Maybe they literally think, "Oh, well, the show can't break the fourth wall. They won't air us in this light." So maybe they literally don't think that some of their conversations would have been aired. But it was just like, what are you doing here? Like, this is just so obvious that they were in a fully committed relationship, basically without a title, because that's what they also mentioned. They didn't want a title before the show, right before they got there. And I didn't realize that that they were so solid before Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
I know we reported on it a little bit that they were spotted together and stuff, but after last night's episode, it was very obvious that the two of them took personal private trips to Boston, to New York, to, hang out with each other, not in group settings. So obviously their relationship was very, very established. And when they got back from their date, they obviously had to talk to Natasha. She needed to get the lowdown. She was, plotting around, like, what's going on? How did you think that conversation went, Gabby, between Brendan and Natasha?
Oh, I mean, that was when I was starting to get glued to the screen, because when you're confronting someone about their lies, you're always, hanging on their every word. Like, what are they going to try to say to get out of this? Are they going to fess up? What's going to happen? And Brendan was pretty much just word vomiting anything he could do to make it sound like it was Natasha's fault. Clear signs of gaslighting here. Like, this is what real gaslighting is, Bachelor Nation.
Literally.
And he was just like digging himself a hole, to the point where Natasha was literally laughing in his face because everything he was saying was not making any sense.
The selective hearing. The selective hearing thing is when she started laughing, because this is where I think Natasha said, she's like, she always knew that something was off about Brendan, but now, like, she put the pieces together. Like, Brendan is an F-boy. Brendan is not self-aware. Brendan is phony. He's fake. That's how I feel. What did you take away from their conversation, Fiona?
I couldn't agree more. Oh my God. He looked so horrible. He looked so manipulative. And there was one moment, I don't remember the exact words, but he was like, "And I told you blah, 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 blah." And she literally just said, "No, you didn't." And he immediately started word vomiting. "Well, I didn't say that. I said blah, blah, blah." And I was like, oh my God, you're being nasty, manipulative, and you're not even doing a good job. Like, if you are going to play this dirty, then at least have your facts straight and like have a better plan. Like, it was embarrassing for him. I think she handled it with her head held high. I think she was able to maintain her cool and maintain her composure in a way that made her look so far out of his league. And I loved how she even said it herself at some point, like, listen, it's hard, but when you find out that somebody is a liar, then at the end of the day, you got to be at least thankful that you're not with a liar. And I thought that was a really, really great outlook on it all. But oh my God, in that conversation, and there were so many moments leading up to that conversation where he looked so bad. It was just, it all started happening and it was a domino effect. And he did not redeem himself, I feel like, at any point.
Yeah, it was really hard for her in the moment, but then it was so easy for her to leave him, because once she confronted him and asked more questions, and she even got, her tea from Piper. Piper came back from the beach and Natasha pulled Piper aside and was like, "What was the relationship? How many times did you hang out?" And Piper was really honest with Natasha. And this is where all the lies kind of added up. They hung out 2 times, 10 times, whatever it was. And this is where Natasha realized that Brendan has been lying to her the entire time. And now it's almost like Natasha feels that she wasted her time in Paradise with Brendan. And this is where I kind of disagree, because I feel like Natasha did not have to put all of her eggs in Brendan's basket. Yes, she is totally a victim. She was totally played. No one is saying that she wasn't. But I still feel like Natasha was warned about Piper. There was multiple conversations about Piper before Piper came on the beach. Natasha had multiple opportunities to date Chasen, Carl, Thomas. There's so many guys. She was too zoomed in on Brendan, who wouldn't even kiss her for too long. And I feel like Natasha should have, kept her options more open. And I don't want to say it's like a bite in the foot for her, because like she was totally played and gaslighted and manipulated. But that's just, I still feel like she could have been more open. Gabby, do you agree with me or do you disagree?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially this season, I feel like in the first few weeks when everyone was sort of pairing up and Natasha and Brendan became one of those pairs, and they were kind of seeing the drama go down with everybody else. So like if you didn't have somebody that you're secure with, like, you know, things were going crazy on the beach, you didn't know what was going to happen, if you were going to get chosen. It was just much more stressful, I think. So then I'm sure she totally liked him and was attracted to him and saw that a lot of other girls were too. And so I think she wanted to hold on to him and see what was going to happen rather than cut it right at the source. I mean, in one of her confessionals, she even said, right when there was rumors about Piper, like I should have just gone then because it was going to turn into a mess, of course. So like you were saying, that would have been in hindsight the better decision. But I think in the moment, it was just a little bit easier to hold on and see if maybe he was telling the truth, or maybe Piper wouldn't come down to the beach, and was kind of like leaning on that.
Yeah. Fiona, how much do you think Natasha should blame herself for this situation? Maybe like a percentage.
You know, I think it's hard. I don't even know if I can give it a percentage. I have to say, I think hindsight is like 2020. I feel like Natasha, like let's say it's 20%, right? I feel like Natasha's problem is maybe she's the kind of girl that likes a chase. She's the kind of girl that she said it so many times, like she was trying to make him comfortable. She was trying to fight for something that she saw as there. And to me, like I'm trying to read between the lines here. What I wonder is maybe she just wasn't that into anybody else on the beach, right? And here she has a guy who's saying to her all the right things, who she's really attracted to. It's still early days, and she's thinking like, okay, I'm going to continue to give this some time and effort and energy to try to get him out of his shell. Maybe that's going to solve the problem. And I feel like that's where she made her mistake potentially. But again, I'm like trying to put myself in her shoes. I think I would have made a similar gamble, because at least she's attracted to him. She felt some sort of spark and connection there. That feels almost like a safer bet than trying to pursue a Carl, a Trey, you know, someone else who maybe you're just not hitting it off with as much. You seem like you maybe have better odds with Brendan in that scenario. So it felt really hard, I think, to make that choice. She seemed very regretful. I do have to say, in that conversation with Piper, where all the facts began to be on the table, watching her process in real time, all the white lies that kind of built themselves up to this ultimate betrayal, I think she was really, really disappointed, because at many of those moments, had she received the truth, she would have bolted, right? You know what I mean? 10, that number of hanging out 10 times was a deal breaker for her. If he had been honest with her there, she would have been out. So it's like the little things. It kind of was really heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah, definitely there was, she wasn't getting the full truth, but she did say that she should have trusted her gut. And I think as a viewer, you know, I've been saying this, she should have kept her options open. I think that she just wanted to believe that he was the best version, and, you know, but it bit her in the foot. And I think that, you know, she'll know for her future relationships not to do that again. And I mean, if I was Natasha and somebody wasn't kissing me and I've been with them for 2 weeks, 2 rose ceremonies, like that is a huge red flag. So I think she should have just listened to the red flags, but also nobody can blame her, because I mean, she was gaslighted and manipulated, and Brendan and Piper were really made to look like the villains, which they kind of were. I mean, everyone on the internet is so pissed off at them right now. Everyone from Bachelor Nation is really upset, but Brendan and Piper don't seem to care. You know, Brendan thought that if he lowered his mic, the audio wouldn't be able to pick it up, and he even discussed calling, you know, Natasha the prospects. There was no other prospects for her. And they even talked candidly about being on the show for followers and how excited they were that their plan was working. Piper even mentioned gaining 10,000 followers from an Us Weekly article, and they bonded over their love for followers and strategized how they will stay on the beach longer. I mean, Gabby, did they forget that they were on the show, or did they genuinely not think that the producers would air this?
I think it's a lot of that. I feel like they never thought that those sort of breaking the fourth wall conversations would get out. But when you have it on film and it's all recorded right there, and it's going to help you further the story in the edit, of course the editors are going to throw that in there. And I'm glad they did, because it really shows their true colors a little bit. Like it's all making sense now. They can't really cover it up, and it just is pretty much mean.
No, it
Mhm.
is. They were really like laughing at Natasha a lot. The whole prospects comment. I mean, Brendan just made really a few uncomfortable things, but it just was the way that they were so candidly talking about followers and Us Weekly and the rumors about them. I mean, it's just so funny because I remember, and you guys probably remember too, we were talking about them on Shared News like 3-4 months ago when they were first spotted together before Paradise even filmed. Like, they should have mentioned, Shared News, not even Us Weekly. You're welcome for the followers, Piper, actually. We have been
Exactly.
talking about you before you got here. I mean, but Fiona, do we think that they don't care that they're being filmed, or they don't care how this is going to look? Are they just not thinking about that in the moment?
I don't even know, because there was that moment where he very intentionally like played with his microphone, and then they put the subtitles, because obviously a microphone is not going to be taken down by just like your thumb touching it for a second. So to me, it's like he had the sense at some moments to try to filter himself. I think it's a real testament to his true colors that he didn't try to mess with his microphone and just confidently said that horrible comment about Natasha not having any other prospects. Like, all of those moments where he absolutely, with no shame, basically implied that like he did her a favor and that like it is what it is. And any moment where the two of them were on that daybed snickering with each other about like, ooh, we're inseparable now. It just was so unfortunate. It was hard to watch. They seemed like the mean girls at a party. They seemed nasty. And I think that at the end of the day, maybe it's really nice that they found each other, because they seem to value the same things. They seem to not care what people think about them. So maybe this is
Exactly.
all just a blessing in disguise. That at least they have
No.
each other, because
Uh-huh.
it's nasty.
No, 100%. I mean, they obviously have the same energy. I think that Brendan was, the one who was shady, but Piper showing up and supporting him and being by his side, sticking through him, just shows that she's just as shady because she's co-signing that behavior. If you're in a real relationship with someone, whether it's friendship, family, if you notice that your partner is being shady, or even a friend, check your friend. Like, you don't want to be associated with a friend or dating someone that it does shady things to other people, because that is a reflection on you, because you're the one choosing to be with them and share your time with them. And Bachelor Nation is pissed
And
off at Brendan and Piper, so much so that they're losing all of their followers. Gabby, what were you going to say?
oh, yeah, well, I was just gonna jump off that and say, and like, you know, you two are like together doing this now, but in the future, maybe another girl comes along that Brendan likes more, then he's gonna do the same thing to you, Piper, because that's like his character. It's like all good now, but
Right.
in the future, who knows, he's gonna act the same way that he did to you. So
She
Exactly.
didn't
And Piper
bat
is
an
like,
eye.
she
She
didn't.
just she
yeah.
didn't
She
bat an
didn't.
eye during the conversation with Natasha, when Natasha said, "Oh, 10, you said 2." She sat there stone cold, right? Like, to me, it's like, at least react and be like, "Oh my God, I don't know why he lied to you. Like, I don't know why he did that." It was just so clear that it didn't matter to her, because she was so confident in them, which I guess, again, good for you.
And she doesn't even have the most followers from Matt James this season. So why didn't he go for like Abigail or someone else if that's all he cared about? So Brendan has reportedly lost up to 50,000 followers since last night's episode. He was at like 340 something. Now he's down to like 307. And Piper, who did not have as much followers, which could be a red flag to Brendan since that's, his priority, she's lost about 5,000 followers. Bachelor Nation is pissed. There is multiple fan petitions, unfollow them, unfollow them. Gabby, where do you stand on this? Have you unfollowed Brendan or Piper? Do you think that they should be getting, canceled, or all the heat that they're getting?
Yes, I've definitely unfollowed those who I had followed before. And I want to also add that Natasha instead has gained over 100,000 followers
She took
overnight.
all their followers.
On the other side, she took them all. She gained even more, which is awesome. Yeah, I think it's just nice for us as viewers to do our part in like showing them that you don't get to like have your cake and eat it too. You're not going to like be a jerk, have your goals be to get followers, which is of course influencing is a whole like career and everything now, and that's what a lot of people do out of these shows. But just to have like that mindset where you don't care who you're screwing over to do that, I think it's just absolutely hilarious that they're losing followers after this, when they were probably going into the whole season airing thinking, here, this is our moment, we're going to become big stars, etc.
You
Mhm.
worded that really, really well because they're not going to pull one over off of us on Bachelor Nation. We're the ones that are following them and supporting them. They don't have followers because they are doing other things that would get them followers. Like they have followers because they're on The Bachelor. So I don't
Yeah.
think that us unfollowing them is us canceling them. I don't think it's us bullying them. I think we're just unfollowing. I think that the comments they're receiving online are definitely going too far, just because it is a TV show, but it also isn't because Brendan and Natasha, I mean, Brendan and Piper literally sacrificed Natasha's feelings and like who she is as a person, her value as a human being, just so that they can advance. And that is the issue here with Brendan and
Yeah.
Natasha. I mean, Brendan and Piper being so shady. Fiona, have you unfollowed? Are you down with the unfollow train?
So I didn't follow Piper to begin with. I just didn't end up following every single girl, right, from that season. So I didn't have to unfollow her. And I don't know that I necessarily would have as passionately as I did click that unfollow button for Brendan. The minute he said the prospects thing, the minute he said the selective hearing thing, I was like, you're just not a good guy. Like, it is one thing, maybe I would have been sympathetic had you kind of messed up navigating being on the beach, knowing somebody you like is probably going to come and like being put in the position of now this person's here. So you're kind of accidentally abandoning somebody else. There are versions of that we have seen from people and been able to forgive, move on. He was so unbelievably nasty about Natasha and also cold about how she may be feeling. He couldn't have cared less. And that was the tipping point for me. I was like, show some remorse. Get down on your hands and knees and say you're mortified and you're embarrassed and you messed this whole thing up and you are so unbelievably sorry. Like, where is that humility? That's where I was just like, I don't need to invest in your shirtless photos anymore. Sorry.
And I'm sure that the captions didn't help when Brendan's most recent Instagram caption was "here for the wrong reasons," and Piper put up a TikTok saying all the rumors are true and all of that. I mean, Gabby, what did you make of those Instagram captions? All is fair in love and war.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned this because this is just another reason to think that they really don't care. And like you were asking earlier, like, did they not think this was going to be aired? You know, did they whatever? But it's like, no, maybe they actually did think like, yeah, they're going to air us talking about our followers. We're here for the wrong reasons. Let's like
Own
make
it,
fun
get
of
ahead
it
of
on
it.
Instagram and poke fun at it. And then I think that also didn't work in their favor.
Well, then that's fine that they want to make fun of it, but not at Natasha's expense. And that is where the issue is that they're literally like flaunting their relationship over hurting someone else. Like you can own that you're there for followers. Like, sure, that's funny, but it's the fact that it's at someone else's expense. So Piper did see all the backlash and she decided to put up an Instagram story today to tell her side of the story. And she is saying, just a gentle reminder that reality TV isn't real. An edited, produced, and cut down show isn't going to show you every single thing said and done. An edited and produced show can't show you the conversations that happened before filming between friends. I make light of the show because it's a lighthearted show. And she ends it off saying, at the end of the day, it's a TV show. We, the viewers, are shown what makes the best television just as any show. And folk, what we have here is a very successful show. I mean, it sounds like they're winning, and they still don't get that there's no apology for Natasha. There's no remorse. All they're doing on social media, even in this post that Piper put up, which clearly, I mean, she didn't ask anyone for advice because this is still, like, you're still not able to read the room, Piper. Like, they clearly still don't feel bad. Is this even an apology, Gabby?
No, it's not. She's just pretty much saying what everybody says after they get off a reality show, which is there's more to it, and you just saw what was edited, and you know it was a bad edit. Which there's probably some truth to that. There's probably a lot of other things that were said and done that we didn't get to see because it didn't lean into the storyline. And of course, it's a good show because we love the drama. So I agree with her there. But it totally, like you said, they don't really care.
So what would you advise Piper and Brendan to do with their social media so that they don't lose all their followers and all their fans?
That is a good question. I mean, I would, start off with understanding what the issue is, like we've been talking about here, Natasha's feelings. And so coming out, with an apology, not for, I'm sorry that our motives for going on the show were selfish. A lot of people probably have selfish motives going on TV, but, you could apologize for the way that it affected someone else, or, we love Natasha. We're together, like we're in a happy relationship, but blah, blah, blah. So kind of realizing the real issue and like saying something about that, acknowledging that in some way rather than just saying we didn't do anything wrong.
100%. Great advice. And I do want to remind everyone we are going to get to a Q&A in just a short few minutes. So leave those questions, tweet us your favorite tweets. We're going to get into it. But we do have some clips of tonight's episode that we are going to look at and get. I want to hear your thoughts, see what is going to happen with Brendan and Piper because the story is continuing. So in this first clip, we're going to be seeing how the rest of the cast will react to Brendan and Piper's plan, now that everyone knows that this was a plan. So let's take a look at this first clip. Because you know it's gonna get juicy. It's gonna be good.
Juicy.
I mean, how is everyone gonna react, Fiona, tonight? What are your thoughts?
It's time for you to go.
I don't think it's going to be a positive reaction. I think that listen, they were so upfront about what they did. They're not even trying to hide it. And we just saw a small sampling of what happened when Natasha started spreading the word of what happened to her. People are going to side with Natasha. They just are.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the clip. Let's see. It's going to be... I think that you make a really good point. Fiona, the clip is just going to take another minute, people, but I think you make a really good point because they might have been able to work one over off of Natasha, but are they going to be able to fool the rest of the beach? Or is the rest of the beach going to kind of rally together? And I mean, this isn't Survivor, as you mentioned before, Gabby, but I think it's fair to say that they would probably be voted off of the island, don't you think, if it was a voting game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, although I do remember from last night, Natasha kind of confronted Ivan and was saying, hey, because they're like both friends, like Natasha's friends with Ivan, so is Brendan is friends with Ivan. She was saying, hey, are you gonna like confront Brendan and say like he did some messed up stuff? And he was kind of like, no, he kind of like didn't do that. So
Yeah.
hopefully everybody else is a little more on board for helping Natasha out.
And that's my point. You need to check your friends. Like, it doesn't matter how close of friends you are. If someone is shady, you need to call them out on their behavior. So we have the clip up here. We're going to check it out, and then I want to get everyone's thoughts.
They actually think they outsmarted everyone here.
It's like a prepaid vacation for him right now.
It's time for you to go.
Oh my God, Riley is getting mad. Fiona, how do we think this is going to go down now that we have a little clip here with context?
Okay, I have to say, I love Riley. And when he first came, I was like, I don't remember this side of like, do I like Riley? Where's Riley? Oh my God, these little tiny moments we keep getting from him are amazing. And yes, checking your friends, perfect example. Riley is a lawyer or an attorney, and he heard all of the facts and went, get out of here. And I think that it's going to be really embarrassing for them if they try to stay. Honestly, that looks like everyone was gathered by the fire. Riley was telling it like it is. And I hope that they pack their bags.
It looks like they're going to go home. Like, it looks like the group is going to collectively tell them to leave, and they're going to leave. I wonder how many followers they're going to lose after tonight's episode, because it doesn't look like they're getting a redemption story. Gabby, as the social media expert, how many followers do we think they're going to lose by tomorrow?
Oh my God.
It definitely depends on how they handle the situation, and based on how it was going last night, and even how literally in real time yesterday they were posting on their Instagram. Seems like it's not going to be going very well. So I will definitely be keeping tab on that, and you'll see the updated numbers on our Twitter tonight as well.
Okay, amazing. Well, the show has to go on. We're not going to talk about Brendan and Piper, even though we literally can for the rest of the week. But the show is going on, and there's going to be 4 new women arriving on the beach tonight. So let's take a look at who some of those women might be.
Welcome, my new VIPs.
More girls showed up. A lot of us are definitely on our toes today.
They're all, gorgeous girls.
Okay, so here we have Chelsea from Matt James's season. We have McKenna from Pilot Pete's season. We have Alana from Matt James's season as well. I believe she was an early eliminee. And then we also have Alea from Pilot Pete's season. 4 new women. That is a lot of girls. Alea. I mean, okay, so Gabby, who are you most excited to see, or least excited to see out of the 4 of these girls?
Oh my gosh, Lise is a Leia. I remember all the drama she started during Peter's season. It was a lot. And so definitely not her. I like McKenna. I've been following her on Instagram for a while. She's cute. And then
Chelsea, any thoughts?
obviously. Yeah, of
Chelsea.
course. I mean,
Fiona, who are you?
she's so fun.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Gabby. I definitely did not need any more Alea. I don't think she's going to be here very long, to be honest with you. I actually followed McKenna during Peter's season, have kept up with her. I like her social media presence, think she's cute. So I'm excited to see her. I thought Chelsea was unbelievably cool during Matt's season, so I'm excited to see more from her. This is a hard time to be sending a ton of girls in because even though we're like so far in, like someone like James, someone like Aaron, like these relationships are still kind of wonky. And I think they're wonky because the connections aren't that strong, kind of. You know what I mean? Like some people just can't click. So 4 girls at once, that's going to shake everything up. And some of these weaker connections might just be cut off.
I'm pretty sure there's like 10 guys left on the beach, and now there's going to be like 17 or 18 women. So I think what they're going to do on Paradise is just give us a bunch of drama and then like focus the last like 2 or 3 episodes based on the love. But I will say I am not excited to see McKenna, but I am excited to see Tammy versus McKenna part 2 because I have been waiting for that since Pilot Pete's reunion. So I'm hoping we get that. And I know Alea was involved in a lot of mess, so I'm sure she will be getting into that as well. Chelsea is gorgeous and tall, so I feel like a lot of the guys might be into her. And I do believe that there's going to be a lot of drama surrounded by Alana, who was a very early eliminee. So definitely look out for that. But the competition's going to heat up. So let's take a look at this next clip to see what goes down.
You know the guys are going to be looking.
Now it's a competition.
I turned around and your tongue was on another woman's throat.
Oh, okay. Right here, we have Alana making out with Chris. Now, Chris is the guy that Yesenia just dumped Ivan for. And there was all these rumors about them all hanging out in San Diego before the show as well. So it seems like everyone has hung out. If you haven't hung out with, if you didn't go to Paradise hanging out with at least 2 to 3 people, you came at a disadvantage. Gabby, how do we think this is going to go down?
Oh my gosh, this is already like piping hot tea. Definitely going to stir up some drama. I mean, that was Piper hot tea, yes. Yeah. I mean, did you see Yesenia's face right there? She literally walked in and saw this going down, and it seems like, you know, she was really into him and very, you know, secure and excited about the relationship. So I'm excited to see what happens after that moment right there.
I mean, she left Ivan for this guy. You don't just leave Ivan, Yesenia. You shouldn't have left Ivan. This is where I love karma. And you guys know I love Yesenia, but you can't leave. You can't just leave someone like that. Fiona, how do we think this is going to go down?
Oh my God, I think it's going to be total chaos. And yeah, I'm like so sad for Yesenia. I feel like this is going to be the moment where a lot of people feel like they made some chess moves that came back to bite them in the butt. Everything is so strategic. And I do feel like it's literally the fine line that Brendan and Piper somehow obliterated. Like, all is fair on that beach, right? You can go on a date with someone, feel good about it. Somebody new comes in. It's sort of like the natural betrayal. Everyone's kind of like, you got to brush it off. It's okay. So to a certain extent, I think she's going to understand like, okay, I did this to Ivan. Now it's happening to me. But now I'm in crunch mode, right? Because there are extra girls, less guys, like all of the cards are going to fall how they do, and hopefully she lands on her feet. I don't know. This is going to be a hard week.
You know, we better get a rose ceremony tonight. I want to see some people go home and get cooked to the curb. But Chelsea is actually going to be going on a one-on-one date on tonight's episode. So let's take a look at this next clip and see who she chose.
Chelsea's a runway model. Every girl here should be worried.
I'm not a person that's afraid to make a move.
Okay, so we see Chelsea horseback riding, a picnic. I mean, Gabby, who do we think this is?
Oh, Aaron, for sure.
Duh. And how do we think this will go? I mean, Aaron's newly single. He got his rose from Becca, so I don't know if that's going to be a thing. But, I mean, Tammy is completely out of the equation, so Aaron's up for grabs.
Definitely. And I mean, I would certainly grab him if he was up for grabs and I was on the beach. Yeah, we haven't seen anything between him and Becca, which I thought was going to turn into something more, or at least see a little bit of that. So I don't know if we'll get a little bit of that at the beginning of this episode, and then he'll maybe, have the conversation with her, or, just decide whether he wants to go on this date with Chelsea. But I hope it works out for them because I think they'd be really cute.
Yeah, they're both really tall as well. We have another clip here that we're going to check out of everyone crying on the beach. So let's take a look at that. Because it wouldn't be paradise.
You literally like had sex with me.
I always lose to girls who look like Becca.
You lied to my face.
A lot going on here. My heart actually breaks for Tammy right now. That looks really sad. Fiona, how do we feel about this love triangle? It's probably going to be Tammy, Becca, and Thomas tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's so shocking because Tammy started with Aaron. Aaron and Thomas are mortal enemies. Tammy hops to Thomas. Thomas hurts Tammy. It just feels like this group of people like can't get away from each other, can't get out of each other's own way. I forgot even the Becca gave Aaron the rose. Like, it is such a mess.
Yeah.
And I think that Becca and Thomas, like, I don't think we've really seen that yet. So I guess somehow that's going to come to be. I just feel like poor Tammy's going to get her heart broken, and Aaron and Thomas are going to go round 50,000 because even if he ends up on a fabulous date with Chelsea, this is Thomas effectively going after his guy again, or his girl again.
Yeah.
I don't know. Basically, it's a whole hot disaster.
That is so true,
Yeah.
because Thomas keeps on stealing Aaron's girls. But now I don't feel bad for Tammy, because Tammy literally betrayed Aaron, who was Thomas's mortal enemy, as they like to say.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's going to bite you in the foot
It's
too.
the
There's so much
karma.
karma. There's so much karma happening
That's
on
what
this
we're
beach.
saying.
And Demi's
wrong
crying
move.
too. Yeah, it looks like Kenny and Mari are now getting back together. So Demi's gonna get her heart broken. I think a lot of people are gonna leave the beach tonight. I cannot wait to see how it all goes down. I'm sure you guys can't either. We have one more clip, and then I want to get your final thoughts on what's gonna happen tonight. So let's take a look at it.
I gotta get a better look.
But that's what I hated so much. What did I sign up for? I want to go home.
Wow, a lot.
Is that Marissa?
So
I think it's
I want to go
Piper.
home. I thought it was Piper too, but now that you just said Marissa, I think it's probably Marissa.
It
And
sounds like
Marissa
her
was
voice
not
too,
involved
but-
in anything.
Yeah.
Who has a tattoo?
Marissa has
Where's
a
the
few
tattoo?
tattoos. It's definitely Marissa. So,
Oh,
I mean, there's going to be
no.
so much love triangles and gossip on tonight's episode. I cannot wait to talk to you guys about it tomorrow, but we do want to open it up to our Q&A. Bring your questions, bring your comments, send us your tweets, let us know the funniest moments or anything you guys want to share about last night's episode. We are here to discuss it with you guys. So much went down, so definitely submit your questions now. I mean, Fiona, any final thoughts on tonight's episode or last night's episode? Where are you at right now?
So I think my final takeaways from the Brendan and Piper situation is right now, Brendan is like not redeemable in my eyes. I'm over him, done. Don't need any more of it. Sorry. But Piper, she came on the beach, and I don't think she made too many missteps except for these snooty, snotty comments between the two of them. Like, she came, she showed up, she was honest. She didn't try to hide the fact that she was there for one person. She didn't lie to Natasha. She wasn't actively nasty to Natasha. So to me, tonight is kind of make or break for Piper, because so far I feel like she was a girl who was led to believe it was okay to go on the beach and just go after Brendan. And everything else has been kind of fallout and moves that she didn't make. So I'm really curious how I'm going to feel about her at the end of all of this. Because Brendan, done deal. I'm over him.
You
But
unfollowed
Piper,
him.
can we
Did
get
you
a
block
little
him too?
sympathy? Will she
I
call
don't
him out?
know.
Will she say to him, like, that wasn't really cool what you did to Natasha? Like, will we get a moment from her that tips the scales at all? That's what I'm dying to know.
That's a really, really good question.
Yeah.
I'm also just looking forward to seeing if Serena and Kendall finally have their conversation, because that might work. But I'm also just really excited about all the new girls coming in, because this is we're gonna have a new paradise, because we can all agree last night's episode was flooded with the love triangles, and now I like there was no one else on the beach besides the three love triangles we talked about. So I'm excited to see more of a mix. Eduardo says, I've noticed that the people from the Bachelor Nation love to show their colors on VIP. Okay. Okay. What do we mean by colors? Like the colors of their clothes, their true colors.
Like their true colors, yeah.
Their true colors. So what are Brendan's true colors, Gabby? If you had to give him a little color palette, maybe put two or three colors on the palette, what has he shown?
Black. Just kidding.
Anything else?
Anything else? No, I
Gray.
think like he just really likes Piper and was honestly willing to do whatever it took to date her, which is like kind of sweet. He stepped on a lot of toes along the way, you know, and there's some flaws in his character for that reason. But at the end of the day, like if they're meant to be together, then I guess it worked.
But will they actually last in real life? Like, I don't think that Brendan and Piper, the way they started their relationship, I just don't see it lasting in the long haul. That's just my opinion. But maybe like a year, Fiona, year and a half.
I don't know. I feel like they really like are pretty aligned in what they care about. They're super hot. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw like some of the gossip submissions, like they were spotted in Boston, and like then her post where she said the lies was in Boston. He took those Insta pics of her. Like maybe these are two people who are really aligned and gonna take a lot of hot photos of each other and have a happy sort of boring life. I don't
Bachelor
know.
wedding.
Maybe they make it.
Maybe they'll get married on TV.
Sure.
Probably, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Rose says Natasha's face dealing with all of Brendan's lies is a mood. Oh my God, Natasha is such a queen. All of the memes, all of the stills that came out of this episode of her, she looks fabulous and her emotions are so spot on. I like am obsessed with Natasha now, you guys. And I wanted more than anything, Zachary, you and I talked about this, wanted more than anything for her to not give him her rose. So she could look like a queen and demand better like treatment than that. But ultimately she got there and she figured it out tonight.
It was funny because she did, Brendan and Piper were talking about that. They were like, what if Natasha didn't give you a rose? I would have ended up here and whatever. And it's so funny because Natasha had that power in her hands and she didn't take it. I'm so glad it was you three today, Zachary, Fiona, and Gabby. What a crazy night it was. Well, we're glad to be here. Sweet. Thank you for having us. Gabby, question, how many followers did Natasha gain from last night's episode?
Yeah, right now it's at over 100K. And even just while we've been live for the last hour, she started at like 90,000 and now she's at 209. So in just literally the last hour of us being live and talking about it, she's gained 3,000 more followers.
Wow. Oh my God. And Tessa says, we did it, Joe. Bachelor in Paradise, justice for Natasha, stats from Bachelor Data. We love Bachelor Data here at Shared News. She keeps track of everyone's data, like their followers, their screen time. And here is a little graphic dialogue of Brendan, Natasha, and Piper, which is so crazy. The combined Instagram fallout is what she's calling it. Basically, Brendan and Piper lost all of the followers, and all of the followers they lost was gained to Natasha. I mean, Natasha for Bachelorette, Fiona, is that in the equation?
Oh my God. I mean, if anybody got a Bachelorette edit in Paradise, it is Natasha. I think she's so smart. She's mature. She's got a good head on her shoulders. She doesn't really deal with the BS. It took her a little while to figure out that it was BS, but you know what? Sometimes that makes for good drama. Like she has all of the components of a great Bachelorette. I would totally tune in.
Yes, or Tajwan for Bachelorette, but that's just my preference. Gabby, what is Sunny saying?
I agreed. Piper def exposed Brendan by telling the whole story. They were playing on national TV, and you guys think she's playing or she is just that naive? That is a good question. I think, you know, it was a game. They wanted to date each other, and that's not typically how it works on Paradise. You know, you're supposed to date a lot of people, find your options and things like that. So they were kind of doing what they could. But I think she was also just super into Brendan and excited to see him and date him once they got onto the beach. So maybe she was a little bit naive about how everyone's probably not going to be okay with that once you get down there.
I think she was naive. I don't think she was clued into all the lies Brendan was saying because obviously they didn't have phone connection. And I also think the producers kind of manipulated her a little bit. And then her true colors and personality came out. So she definitely was strategizing as well. Like we mentioned, once she caught on to Brendan's plan, then she quickly, as Fiona mentioned, went on board with it. Fiona, what is this meme we got going on here?
So we have the kill him meme, and then it says, from attorney at Paw, she had 0 prospects. It's not like I was keeping her from anyone. Oh my God, if that is not the line, and if that is not the right meme, I swear to God, you guys, that is when I clicked unfollow. It was just like, done. Your colors are showing. They are ugly. They are mean. And she is totally so hot, had so many prospects. She chose you. Like, oh my God, you dropped the ball. You were the jerk.
Oh my God, we have a tweet here from Demi. I love this. Brendan got cast for F-Boy Island and accidentally showed up on the wrong beach. That is so funny. I've been talking a lot about F-Boy Island. It was basically 3 girls, 24 guys, 12 of them were F-Boys. Brendan probably should have ended up on that show considering they were literally casting for F-Boys. I mean, this is perfect. He really did end up on the wrong show. I mean, what is it going to take for Brendan to regain your follow, Fiona? Because it doesn't seem like you're following him back anytime soon.
No, I mean, I don't really think I ever cared about him enough to like pay attention. Like, the only thing he could maybe do is like, oh, a couple months from now, he does the Nick Viall sit down. He spills his soul. He says he's like, what, so embarrassed and so mortified and has learned from his behavior, blah, 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 blah. That would be the right PR move, the right career move. But even then, I feel like I just wasn't invested in him enough that I would jump back on. And I think that's the danger when you're someone from Bachelor Nation who's like really, really hot and you get a lot of followers because you're really good to look at. Like, people don't care deeply. So they're not going to unfollow and follow and like really jump on and off. I don't think he's shown enough depth to win people back. Maybe I'm being so harsh, but that's just
no, you're right. He hasn't, but he could. He has time. There's a reunion maybe coming up. He has social media. Like, he could at least attempt to win us back. He hasn't attempted yet. Gabby, what is Fiam saying?
I'm too ready for Bachelor in Paradise tonight because that last episode was truly the best this season so far. Same. As soon as it ended last night, I was like, well, we have only a few short hours until we can dive right into having more of this unfold. So I kind of love these double 2-night-a-week things happening for Paradise because it's so much good content for us.
And tonight actually is the last 2-night of week. So next week on Bachelor in Paradise is going to be moving to Tuesdays. So it's going to be once a week for the next few weeks. I think there's like 3 episodes left after tonight. So 4 episodes left. So I'm really glad that we're getting to see all of this. It's definitely the climax of the season, the Brendan and Piper stuff. I think the most juicy gossip always happens midway through the season. And I think after they get over tonight's episode, there's going to be drama tonight, guys. Just beware. But I think after the drama that is tonight's episode with the 4 new women, they're really going to focus on the final relationships, the last 3 episodes, and who actually is falling in love. And I think we're all really looking forward to seeing that. But I like the drama too. I like it. It's good. It's juicy. This is definitely the best episode so far. I also did enjoy the Victoria F or Victoria P debacle in the beginning. I thought that was really juicy. Do we think that Victoria P is now off the hook, Fiona, because of this? I mean, who's going to be the next one?
I mean, Victoria P is probably counting her blessings right now because the minute you said that, I was like, Victoria P. Wait, yeah,
like,
what was that debacle? Like, it's already, I don't have enough space in my brain.
Yeah.
She's already in the clear. So, yeah, she's probably pretty thankful somewhere. And if I remember correctly, her and Alea had Drama Peter season. So she's probably very thankful she's not on that beach anymore.
And I think she wanted to talk about that, the drama with Alea, but then she was talking about that on Bachelor Happy Hour, and then that never ended up happening. They came at different times. Taylor M says, we have a tracker here. 4:22 p.m. Brendan 3:03. Wow. When we started this live stream, he was at 3:10. So he's lost 7,000 followers in an hour. That is crazy. Piper's at 81.6. So she's not losing as many followers as he is. But Gabby, do we think that's just because he has so many more to begin with?
Yeah, I think so. And he is just way worse than Piper. It's like, yeah, like we've been saying, he's, especially I feel like mostly women watch The Bachelor. So,
Yeah.
and, you know, in that case, if you see a toxic man on your screen, you're like, okay, unfollow. But Piper's a little bit less in trouble.
Fair enough. What is Shannon saying, Gabby?
All right. Shannon says, did Brendan and Piper need a free trip and a meal that badly? And Paradise is now the only place Bachelor Nation people can have a deep or meaningful conversations. This is just sad and pathetic. That is funny. I think like we were kind of saying a little bit earlier in the live, it seemed like Brendan and Piper were starting a relationship just based on meeting because they were part of Bachelor Nation. And then the producers sort of saw that and probably contacted them both and said, you know, if two people from Bachelor Nation are dating, that's kind of their ideal situation. Like, hey, let's watch it all play out on Paradise, create some drama around it. Like, that would be great for our show. They're obviously always searching for storylines. So I think that was a reason they did that. And also, you know, before all this starts, if someone's offering you a free trip to Mexico and you're going to be on TV, like, it doesn't
paid
sound
trip.
that bad in the beginning. Yeah.
It's not even a free trip. It's literally they're getting paid by the day. But I'm glad that they're on the beach. Honestly, I don't really care about their pre-existing relationship. I remember when we were talking about them and all of the girls from Matt James's season, I remember being like, where are the cameras? Put them in Paradise right now. Let's make a Bachelor in Paradise New York City. So I'm kind of glad that all of that drama was brought onto the beach, whether it's too far or not. Like it is a good TV show. So for that, I will give Piper a little bit of a kudos, but I do think her and Brendan are shady. Fiona, final thoughts on the whole debacle and the way this is going to go for Brendan and Piper throughout the rest of the season and on social media?
Well, I mean, you honestly kind of just said it. Like when we first saw those two together, I was like, whoa, such a hot couple. Like, could they be more better suited? Like, oh my God, like, I hope they don't get too serious so that we can see them in Paradise. And it feels like they had all of the right cards on the table for us to absolutely love them, root for them, think they are the hottest, coolest couple in town, and it all just went wrong. So it's damage control from here on out, right? Can they make it? Rachel Kirkconnell and Matt James can wade through all of their crazy drama and still be a happy couple. Maybe these two can face the pressures that are going to be on them, but Bachelor fans can be intense, and they do not have a lot of fans right now. So I don't know, it's damage control time.
Yeah. Gabby, final thoughts and predictions for tonight's episode?
Final thoughts would be similar to what Fiona said. Interested to see how the rest of the beach reacts to them. And then I think that will kind of simmer down a little bit. And then, of course, all the other couples that we didn't even get to have a chance to get an update on last night. We're going to get all of that tonight as well. And I'm really excited.
Me too. I mean, I think they're going to get confronted. I think they're going to lose more followers. And I think there will be a public apology / interview in the next few weeks. We don't know if there's going to be a Paradise reunion yet. If there is, we will definitely let you guys know. And I mean, that will be really juicy and we'll get all the answers. So hopefully there's a Paradise reunion, but no confirmation as of now. Because that is everything we have to share with you guys today. So let us know what you think of Bachelor in Paradise, Brendan, Piper, Natasha, Kenny, the Love Square, everything that happened. Comment down below. Even if you guys missed the live stream, you can still comment down below and let us know your thoughts. And before you guys go, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell because we'll be back with more Bachelor in Paradise tea tomorrow. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, and I was joined by Fiona Zaring and Gabby Ganta. Our social media handles are on the screen right now, so be sure to give us a follow and say hello. Also, make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at Shared News. We will see you guys tomorrow and tonight for more Bachelor in Paradise tea. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time. Adios. Bye-bye.
Bye.